Thailand has quickly become one of my favorite markets to visit from not just the tourist perspective, but also especially from a music industry perspective. Gig Life has actually done 2 in-person events there in the last 6 months because your industry has so much hustle. I am always so impressed, both on the creative side and the professional side, of how much you guys proactively go out and network, and even within the community, but also overseas. I think of all of Southeast Asia, there's probably the most amount of collaborations and regional touring and regional activity coming out of Thailand as well. So I wanted to first off ask Pyra, because Pyra, congratulations on your recent release. I was very lucky to have been able to go to Bangkok and attend your album party. And I also saw footage from your press conference. So one thing I really wanted to talk to everybody about here today is this phenomenon of how Thailand markets both events and content by hosting these really incredible press conferences. So can you talk us through a little bit more about like what your press conference looked like, how you set it up, like timeline, who you invited, how you promoted it?
This is actually like the first time I know that hosting press conferences is not normal for other markets. It seems to be very normal in Thailand, at least like for me, which I graduated from like Chulalongkorn University, and my major is in communications, and we're taught how to do press conferences and write press releases. So I thought it's necessary. And since I'm hosting a release party anyways, and I'm gonna be like paying for people, why not have a press con like right before the party? So when the media comes, they can actually like come and watch the show later as well. Then you serve them food and like all that. So it's just like two bird in one stone for me in one night.
And what is the format of this? Because honestly, it's very unique, actually, the way you guys run press conferences in Thailand. But like you say, it's very, very common, whether you're a Supersonic Bangkok or an album release party. How do you actually run that, and who all do you invite?
The thing is, I did this all by myself because I'm not with a label anymore. And to be fair, like I don't like to do it the traditional way. So I'm just like, okay, how do I make it engaging, different for people? Let me just host it at this like amazing venue, Soho House Bangkok. Then like on the third floor, and then make sure that everyone is fed. That's very important. Yeah. So I need to like order catering and all that, and then have this standalone. Like I don't have a moderator for my press con because I think I can speak. So I'm just there speaking about like my album. So that's like cost cutting, not having a moderator. Yeah, for me. Yeah. And I think people are like it. I prefer it to be like a two-way communication. Yeah, so in during my press con, I encourages all the media to ask question because I like doing interviews a lot. So like that's how I do it. And then make sure that the release party or my show happen just right like after, so that they don't leave. It's very important to make sure that you got a DJ after, make sure they stay. Make sure they stay to watch your show.
The other thing you did really well, I feel like, is you disappeared for a while after your set because you were doing all of this content capture
No, no,
things,
no,
right?
no. We were waiting for the governor to arrive.
Oh, yeah. That's actually another really, really interesting thing I discovered about Thailand is the involvement of local government is actually much greater and deeper than I realized, right? There are actually a lot of organizations that are coming out, and it's a really good idea to get government people also on your side, right?
I mean, for me, it's just like a style choice because my music is political music. And then, like, I have personal relationship with the governor. So how do I tie this event that it would make it memorable for people that come?
It definitely was. I was definitely not expecting the governor of Bangkok to show up behind the DJ booth for your set. So that was really awesome. And Pat, moving on to sort of the live landscape of Thailand, because I am constantly blown away when I see friends like F Hero posting their monthly touring schedule, because they're performing like 15 to 20 dates a month 80% of which are in Thailand. So can you please share with everybody, again, like we talked about before, everybody kind of knows of the key market or the capital city, but there's so much happening outside of Bangkok even. So can you talk us through a little bit about
Yeah,
that?
I think Thailand is in a very interesting position right now, in terms of the laws and politically as well. So Thailand, compared to Southeast Asia, has this very big tailwind that is supporting for people to host more aggressive festivals and music concerts. Right, religiously, we cater to all LGBTQ. We are open more to recreational drugs beyond alcohol as well as sponsors. So Thailand might be the only place where you can lawfully do these types of events, and that works well with the entertainment industry. So we're seeing a lot of events, investors doing events in Thailand, and I think in Southeast Asia, if you want to be a key player in the space, you can't not have Thailand.
Absolutely, it'd be a huge missed opportunity, right? The other interesting thing, though, which I feel like Thailand has that other markets in Southeast Asia, especially like Singapore, does not, is this just regular club and like live house sort of scene, right? Like you guys have a ton of venues, it seems like, and not even conventional venues. Sometimes like I find people performing in malls or like you talk through like
Right. Yeah,
this
we do
culture of
have
performance.
we do have a lot of venues, but there are certain segments where it's slightly underserved. We know that in Bangkok, the segment for 3,000 to 5,000 indoor, that's a bit underserved. That's why AAG just opened UOB Live. We work with them on that venue as well. So there's certain segments that are underserved. That being said, though, in terms of the choice of a venue in Thailand, you have everything that you can think of. By the beach, in the hills. And you can create really creative event experiences in Thailand. And so I think that is attracting a wider variety of choices for customers.
Absolutely. And also like you mentioned, like a lot of international brands are coming in, right? Like you've got Rolling
Yes.
Loud, you've got now Summer Sonic Bangkok. What is the dynamic between like international versus local? Like, are you seeing a preference one to the other? How does it connect? Are there a lot of collaboration when these events happen between international artists, or what more can be done?
I think, so we do a lot of these events. So we do Wonder Fruit, Rolling Loud, we do all these events. So I
feel
think
like you should.
it's,
I love. Sorry, not to
Sure.
interrupt, but just a lot of people don't understand like the power of these events, like Wonder
Okay.
Fruit. Like,
Right.
what is Wonder Fruit, right? For people who do not know, there are so many incredible international friendly events, depending on what genre of music you are, etc. So I think like a lot of us in Singapore are very familiar with the brands of the Thai festivals, but I'd love for you to take a minute to explain a little bit more about
Yeah,
what
I think
the
if I,
key festivals are.
yeah, I mean the festival scene in Thailand, there are a few local brands and there are international brands. Is there a competition between the two of them? I think it's yes and no. The local festivals, the ones in rural Thailand, has only been focused on the local pockets, so they're not flying in international acts that can bring in international fly-ins. The international festivals that host in Thailand, they depend on people in Southeast Asia to fly in. They need at least 30% to fly in. So who they're targeting, how they do their market, the network that they require is very, very different from local festivals targeting local people in the rural areas. So do we think it's an overlap? We don't. The prices are very different. We do some water festivals in Chiang Mai. The prices there are like $20 to get in, right? Whereas you do your Wonder Fruit or whatnot, these are well over $100. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Pyra, that's really interesting to know also that you're a communication major, and it honestly makes a lot of sense because I was super impressed by the fact that you marketed your entire release yourself. Can you talk us through some of the key platforms that you use to promote your new album in Thailand and maybe some cool trends in the market that you are taking advantage of?
I don't think there's like a particular like local platform. I mean, we have like, all the classic DSPs and I actually did it quite traditional way. I have a PR based in Singapore, like sending press releases because it's an album drop. But if it's like a single drop, I send my own press releases because I come to these events a lot and I have like your contacts. So I know your email. So that's like cost cutting for like independent artists. I mean, I used to be with a major label, but not anymore. So I guess this is how you navigate life again as like an independent artist. And I'm not ashamed about it because like if you want to make it, you need to do it.
Honestly, I feel like everybody needs to do it at least once to really understand what goes into it, right? And obviously, your major label experience would have helped you kind of bridge a lot of those relationships, but then it's really up to you to create that content.
The thing is, they don't share with me the emails when I was in like, the major label. So I guess like the emails that I have are like these events like Sandari Festa, Luckfest, Conference Festival. Like that's how I meet people.
Yeah, well, you're doing a really great job of it. I mean, again, with like collaborations, right? Like, it's such a hot topic. I think every panel now has touched on it and the value and the impact of it. What is some advice you can give to creators who want to engage with Thai artists and creators of how to approach you, where to find you, what information to give you to make it more appealing?
Okay, so tip on how to reach out to Thai like artists or influencer, just DM them. DM them and ask for their line. Everyone uses line. I don't know why you don't talk in like, Instagram DM since you already DM them. But then everyone would DM and ask for like a line contact or like a manager contact. And then it's like a direct negotiation like with the artist or their team. Because even if they have a label, like the label would take over that like line contact.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting. Makes sense, right? Because they're the ones who have to negotiate the terms and everything,
Yes.
right, on your behalf. And for those of you who are outside of Asia, Line is a very popular messaging app that came out of Japan, but I think, the number one messaging app in Thailand, right?
Yeah, for Thailand, yes.
Thailand, and I think Taiwan as well, interestingly. Um, so, I mean, Papa, you kind of, both of you touched upon this, but as liberal and welcoming as Thailand is, there are a lot of cultural and political, very serious boundaries and guidelines that people need to adhere to if they want to develop an audience or go to Thailand, right? So, Papa, can you share some of the really most important things for people to understand about the do's and especially the don'ts in performing in Thailand?
Well, I think I could probably comment mainly within the event space, probably not on a broader level. But definitely one thing is if you want to do an event in Thailand lawfully, you need to have a registered company. You can't repatriate your money outside immediately. The revenue department does not allow that. We've worked with all these international companies, and they tried creatively to do this. We work with the revenue department trying to figure this out. You really can't. At the end of the day, find a local type production company, work with them to do the billing, and then you'll be tax compliant. So I think that's rather on one level.
Very, very important to understand that.
Yeah. I think beyond that, just if you're planning to host an event in Thailand, it's critical to also make sure that the license that you obtain is correct. You're going to need to work closely with government officials to get the licensing done. And we've seen even reputable brands, last minute have issues with licensing. So it's critical that when you decide to do events in Thailand, you have a good local partner who has a reliable source in obtaining those licenses. That's very, very important. So yeah, I think those are my two key
Absolutely.
things.
I mean, otherwise you spend all this time and money and
Right.
effort into creating something that you're not actually able to pull off, right? So these are the really important pieces of information
Yes.
to understand. And from a more of a content perspective, because you yourself said that your content is quite political. What are some things that you need to say steer clear of or mind, how you communicate things?
Just like don't use political hashtags. That's like number one. And also make sure that it's about politics, but it's not about politics. Like don't name drop. Like if you want to say something, use allegedly, so that you don't get like you don't go to jail or like you don't like um get accused for anything. So I guess like that's the perk of graduating from like a communication major, like news writing and how to avoid things. But like if you want to communicate something that's like heavy, make sure that it's funny. Make sure that it's light. Make sure to use like simple words. Like that's exactly how I write my music, it's political, but make sure that like the visuals are like crazy, like colorful, dumb it down, use like third grader vocabs. It's edutainment.
Very good point. And I think when you're broad, then it's difficult to kind of pinpoint anything specific, right? And many people don't realize, but Thailand is actually still very much a kingdom, right? So I'd say, like, besides not really talking about anything related to that, because I feel like a lot of people don't quite understand that. And then there's also cultural specifications. Like, I realized only recently that in the afternoon, there's no alcohol served, right? So there's a lot of these kind of things that I feel like, is that stuff that you talk to when you're talking to like international people trying to come in, of like how to logistically plan their event? Is this advice that you kind of work with your partners on, or is it not that big of a
No,
deal?
it's actually not an issue. Thailand, you can sell alcohol after 5 p.m. to midnight, and so that's when most of these nightlife events start, anyways. And if you have if you're hosting an event in the proper venue with the appropriate licenses, it keeps going. So in terms of like these alcohol prohibitions, it's not really an issue. I don't think it's been an issue for any of our clients. What's interesting though is the fact that because in Thailand you cannot advertise alcohol, but you can. So a lot of that advertisement money all went to events. So sponsorship from alcohol is a key revenue for all these events and festivals. So that's probably a positive thing for
I see.
events.
So alcohol is not actually allowed to purchase advertising like through traditional
Correct, you cannot.
media channels.
Correct, yeah.
But then Heineken
You can sponsor events all
sponsored
you
your
want.
event and did a great job of getting their branding all across.
To correct,
Okay,
they
sorry.
would avoid like using Heineken as like a beer. So
Okay.
I'm Heineken brand ambassador in Thailand, and they created this new brand called Heineken Experience Silver, and it's like a fashion lifestyle brand that sells fashion products. So that's how they get their like ads on like artists like me.
How creative. But that's a really great opportunity for music industry to kind of tap into brands and use brands in a very different way. We are actually out of time on this panel already, but you guys both provided a lot of very, very great information. Is there one key piece of advice that you can offer everyone each for how to get started with engaging with the Thai music market? Patpat?
I think definitely is, if you've done events throughout Southeast Asia, do not copy and paste. Your success in Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia does not translate to Thailand. We've met again and again these tours, and we tell them, they give us some, we do all these events for them, right? And we do them. We work with a lot of customers regionally, and we try to advise them. I think we've done one. We won't name the event, where in Philippines it was like 7,000, and in Thailand it was 600, right? That happens. And so for any promoter who's looking to do events in Thailand, do your homework, be humble, listen to the Thai market. It's not easy. And so I think that's probably my big advice.
And attend several of your events, right? To experience it firsthand before you try and come in and do one, right? There's no shortage of events to attend. Wonderful, thanks. Pyra, your piece of advice.
I guess don't walk. I guess walking culture in Thailand doesn't exist. So if you travel to Bangkok, I guess I would like piece of advice: come but don't walk. Yeah,
You're a really relevant piece of advice.
you're like a big question mark. Like for me, it's the walking culture is not there. I moved to London and then I moved back to Bangkok and I realized that like, oh shit, like we really don't walk because it's too hot. So I guess like this comes in terms of like heat and all that too, and also learning about Thai culture and all the differences. Like we have a very like interesting like culture and way of life, and you need to learn it to make it in this region, in this country.
Absolutely. And that's actually a very interesting piece of advice, but very, very relevant, because I wish I had known that before our very first event at Soho House in Bangkok, where we did walk from our hotel 10 minutes. And by the time I got to the event, I was. So it is a very, very relevant. So when you are going to Thailand, you are trying to bounce around and go explore a bunch of events just because there's like something that looks like it's very close. call it
Motorbike
grab
taxi.
Yes, motorbike taxis. Super fun. Super fun. All right. Thank you all so much. Thank you, everybody in the audience. Thank you to our panelists. Please come and talk to them afterwards if you'd like to learn more about Thailand.